While you were sleeping, the Douglas County School Board voted to pass changes to the district's diversity and equity policy that have been in discussion for more than a year now. The board approved some minor changes overnight, like removing learning preference as a recognized diversity group. The board also discussed whether the Equity Advisory Committee should be fully autonomous to allow them to hold school officials accountable, but ultimately they moved to leave the committee as it is, operating under the superintendent. The board passed the diversity and equity policy just after midnight with a vote of 4-2. And the Douglas School Board now has one fewer member. Elizabeth Hansen resigned during that meeting, saying the conservative majority is putting politics in front of education. Hansen pointed to the lawsuit over conservative board members talking privately before firing Superintendent Corey Wise. That decision led to lawsuits and a large payout. Hansen also told the board majority that they are too focused on politics and ego and aren't doing enough for students and staff.
I also can no longer look at our community, our taxpayers, in the eyes and assure them that every dollar in our budget is being spent wisely. You have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars that belong to classrooms to defend yourselves because you broke the law when you fired Corey Wise.
Hansen said her resignation is effective immediately. Her term would have expired in November. The board majority will pick a replacement to serve until then.
This morning, the governor will declare Christian Glass Day in Colorado. Glass was shot and killed last June by a former Clear Creek deputy after he had called police for help. Now his family is getting the largest police settlement in Colorado history, $19 million, and a long list of promises for police reform. As part of the governor's declaration today, 3 pieces of Glass's art will be hung in government buildings. His parents say they hope that helps keep his memory alive.
Right now, police and a family in Boulder County are asking for help finding the driver in a fatal hit and run. They have found the truck, just not the person driving it. 2 people died in the crash on Highway 287 on Friday evening. Investigators say it started as a road rage situation. Word of the crash traveled so quickly, the family of James Jacobson found out he died through a post online. Now they just hope someone will be held accountable.
Well, I think it's absolutely senseless. We all get angry, but we shouldn't be taking it out on other people.
I'm hoping someone that knows the guy will come up and confess something. I would hope that they would have the heart to help us get some closure.
Police say they found the pickup truck, a red Dodge Ram. They're asking for anyone who might have seen what happened or know who was driving the truck to give them a call. State Patrol says that crash is part of a growing number of hit and runs in Colorado. CSP says it has investigated 22% more hit and runs this year compared to this time last year.
The U.S. economy is at a risk of a meltdown. Taking a live look at the nation's capital, where time is running out for both sides of the aisle to reach a deal on the debt ceiling. 90's reporter Courtney Yoon is following this story. And Courtney, where exactly does the discussion stand there on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, good morning, Jordan. The deadline to strike a deal is coming soon on June 1st. That's when the Treasury Secretary says the government risks running out of cash to pay its bills. Republicans, led by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, want to roll back federal government spending, while President Joe Biden and other Democrats do not. Negotiators are going to reconvene today. Right now, McCarthy is rejecting a White House counteroffer to freeze spending instead of cutting it, as the two sides try to reach a deal on the budget in exchange for a vote to raise the debt ceiling.
We both agreed default's not really on the table. We got to get something done here. And the consequence of failing to pay our bills would be that American people would have a real kick in their economic well-being. As a matter of fact, the rest of the world would too.
But I think we both agree that we need to change the trajectory, that our debt is too large. And I think at the end of the day, we could find common ground, make our economy stronger, take care of this debt, but more importantly, get this government moving again.
Politicians are assuring the American people that they'll figure out a way to avoid default, but around the country, economic anxiety is rising. Government beneficiaries, social service groups that receive state and federal subsidies, and millions more across the country are contemplating the possibility of massive and immediate cuts if the U.S. were to default on its financial obligations. Coming up at 6:30, we talk to a local professor about the biggest impacts we could see here in Colorado if lawmakers can't reach a deal in time.
Yeah, we certainly understand that anxiety, Courtney, because it certainly has a trickle-down effect from Washington to even here in Colorado. So thank you for that.
We now know when the hush money trial against former President Donald Trump will begin, right in the middle of presidential campaign season. Trump made his first appearance in criminal court in the hush money case against him. He called in over video. The judge laid out some ground rules like stopping Trump from publicly discussing evidence. Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of business fraud last month. The trial is set for March 24th.
Today, the man accused of driving into barriers outside the White House is scheduled to be in court. People who saw the crash say Cy Kandula, who's from Missouri, got out of the truck, started waving a Nazi flag, and was yelling threats against the president. Police arrested him shortly afterward. He is facing several charges, including threatening to kill the president. Today marks 1 year since the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
19 kids and 2 teachers were killed. Today, memorials are set up in the town square and outside the school. Family members of the people who died will hold a vigil tonight. One of those families, the Rubios. Their 10-year-old daughter, Lexi, was killed in the shooting. Lexi's parents say all they can do is take it one day at a time and keep their daughter's memory alive.
One time she was walking up from her room and I was like, "You're so pretty." And she says, "I know." And that confidence squares it all up. Yes, that sums up everything about her, the confidence. To know that my child was scared and alone in her last moments, terrified, there's no reason for that. I'll never be able to wrap my head around that.
Truly heartbreaking. The Rubios say since that day, they've been calling for gun reform and for the law enforcement to be held accountable. The investigation into the police response that day is still going on. We know days like this can be very difficult for a lot of people. If you need some extra help, there are a few numbers on your screen right now. Colorado Crisis Services is available 24/7. You can call 844-493-8255. You can text TALK to 38255, and you can also access resources through the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988.
And one thing you want to know about the weather today is temperatures are going to be in the 60s and 70s once again, with showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. 1 or 2 could be heavy. Tomorrow, pretty much more of the same, with 60s, 70s, maybe an 80-degree reading along the Front Range with those showers and storms in the afternoon.